Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet was aimed at every one of us.
That other bullet, the one that hit President Trump, was meant for all of us, too. I'm Robert Antonellis, engineer, investigator, and the referring party in a criminal referral tied to July the 13th. You're about to see the Butler Bullseye and the digital fingerprints it left behind. Before we get to the Butler Bullseye, we need to start with what you may already know. On July the 13th, law enforcement failed where it matters most. The Secret Service skipped the roof because it was sloped. Trump was guarded by trainees, even agents shorter than he is. Meanwhile, Jill Biden, 30 miles away, had double the manpower. And the failures didn't stop there. Eric Trump said Crooks was cremated faster than most household pets. 16 months of silence later, on November the 14th, FBI Director Kash Patel released a report that told us almost nothing new about Crooks and that he acted alone, doubling down on the same misleading testimony that Biden's FBI gave Congress months earlier. The Bureau buried Crooks's online footprint, ignored his violent posts, and omitted his foreign contact with the State Department-designated terrorist, the Nordic Resistance. It was Tucker Carlson and then Miranda Devine who exposed Crooks's violent threats, his flip from pro-Trump to anti-Trump, and the gaps in the Bureau's story. Tucker Carlson put it bluntly, the lying and obstruction are shocking. So what are they hiding? And why? The Bureau says the case is closed. The evidence says otherwise. Let's begin where they refused to look, with the map they never expected you to see, the Butler Bullseye. 5 days before the attack in Butler, Joe Biden said, "It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." Those weren't just words. They were coordinates. We'll start with Rosemont Farms in Fox Chapel, Pennsylvania, the place Hunter Biden said inspired the name of his company, Rosemont Seneca Partners. The estate was once owned by Senator John Hines III, heir to the Hines fortune, a rising Republican and likely future presidential candidate who died in a plane crash on April the 4th, 1991, under suspicious circumstances. The crash occurred near Rosemont College, which is in the town of Rosemont, Pennsylvania, exactly 23 years to the day after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. His widow, Teresa Hines, later married Massachusetts Senator John Kerry. Today, that same estate, Rosemont Farms, remains under her name. But look closely. There's another Rosemont Farms farther north, in Franklin, a couple miles from Seneca, which was named for the Seneca tribe, part of the Iroquois Nation. Two names, Rosemont and Seneca, side by side, hidden in plain sight. And those names would later reappear in Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, founded by Hunter Biden, Christopher Hines, and Devin Archer. Now connect them. Right here, dead center, sits Butler, the same place where President Trump was shot and Corey Comperatore was killed. This is the Rosemont-Seneca Corridor, a perfect line connecting two names that secretly shaped modern American power. It's where Hunter's company, Rosemont Seneca Partners, got its full name. But one crosshair does not a bullseye make. Now look west, just across the Pennsylvania border, East Palestine, Ohio. The name alone feels out of place here, like something from the Middle East. East Palestine, site of a terrible train wreck, a wall of fire, and a toxic cloud that drifted across the region. Do you remember that? And yet it took then Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg 20 long days to show up on the scene. 1 mile into Ohio, 33 miles from Butler. Coincidence? Because when you extend that same line east, it passes two more points, both with the same name, Palestine Church and Palestine Road, like coordinates in a hidden crosshair. But who drew it? Because when you trace that same line, another name appears. Punxsutawney. Groundhog Day, February 2nd every year, 2/2. And the very next day, 2/3/23. East Palestine was engulfed in flames. The day after Groundhog Day. Another coincidence? Or a pattern that was never meant to be seen? 4 points. Rosemont, Seneca, East Palestine, Punxsutawney, all converging on one place. Butler, Pennsylvania. The Butler Bullseye. Part map, part metaphor, all kill zone, armed and ready. And just when you think you've seen it all, even the gun range where Crooks trained was on the Rosemont-Seneca corridor. Clairton, home of the gun range where even DHS trains. So no, Joe Biden didn't invent all this. He just plagiarized it. You just saw a chain of coincidences so precise, they stop being random. At some point, coincidence stops being an excuse. Before we go deeper, listen to Erica Kirk. On Fox Nation, Erica Kirk, in her own words, Jesse Waters asked, was it just a coincidence that Charlie was shot while speaking about transgender shooters? Erica said, I don't believe in coincidences. And after seeing the Butler Bullseye, neither should you. By now, you're probably wondering why the number 23 keeps showing up. Start with Pennsylvania's past. Senator John Hines III was killed on April the 4th, exactly 23 years after Dr. King. 16 years later, Hollywood drops a film literally called The Number 23 on February 23rd. And 16 years after that film's release, to the day, Pete Buttigieg finally shows up in East Palestine on 2/23/23. Go on, ask Pete if he's seen the movie. And the pattern goes back decades, long before Senator Hines. In the summer of '69, 2 young women from Wilkes-Barre, 14-year-old Joan Marie Diamond and 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechne, died just 23 days apart. One ruled a murder, one ruled an accident, both falling into the same repeating structure you've already seen. Due west of Chappaquiddick is Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, where Biden, Kopechne, and Diamond were born. Continue due west to Franklin, the northern tip of the Butler Bullseye, where Trump was caught and shot. There's much more to this story, and in part 2, we dive into how these 2 deaths helped shape the environment that ultimately turned Butler into a kill zone. And in yet another coincidence, exactly 40 years after Joan Marie Diamond disappeared, the biblical length of a generation, the name written across the bullseye itself, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, was born. And 2023, the year of 23, had one more anniversary waiting. On 9/11/23, the exact centennial of Hitler's failed coup, the White House coincidentally released $6 billion to Iran. Weeks later, Hamas carried out the deadliest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. So here's the question. If President Trump could be caught inside the Butler Bullseye, was the nation of Israel caught inside it as well? It's time to end America's culture of political violence before it claims another life. For media inquiries, interviews, speaking engagements, or any question at all, you can contact me at robert@butlerbrief.com.